Hello guys, and welcome to part 1 of how to set up a slotted car for the Austin Slot Car Club track. In this first video we're going to be talking about how to straighten a chassis. Okay, this chassis right here came out of a BMW McLaren F1 GTR. It is the car that I'm going to be building in the series of videos. Here is the body. Why do we want to straighten the chassis? Well, for the same reason you want your real car to have a, flat, perfectly straight chassis. If you're going down the road, you don't want your right side front wheel not touching the surface. Okay, same thing applies to slot cars. And during the unmolding process of plastic parts, the parts might get warped. And after what we're about to do, we're going to get rid of any imperfections. I'm going to be using the straightening guidelines made by Slot.it. They are available for download at Slot.it's website. If you go to the home page, on the upper right corner there is a download button. Click on that, scroll down until you find an instructions link, click on that, and you will find how to number 1 straighten the chassis. Okay, so what is the procedure? The procedure is that you're going to keep this chassis as flat as possible, heat it up so it softens and take the shape of the surface you're holding it against, and let it cool off over time. Okay, how are we going to do this? Well, the first thing you need is a perfectly flat piece of metal. This metal bar right here, I found it at a junkyard. I would suggest you look at a junkyard as well, or a hardware store, trying to find something similar. Second thing you need are neodymium magnets. The ones I have here came out of slot cars. Our club does not race with magnets, so I have quite a few to play around with. Let's get it going here. First thing you want to note is look at the bottom of the chassis and take note of the flat areas and the areas that are not actually flat. Okay, so my chassis is flat from the tip of the chassis all the way to this crease right here towards the rear. So what are we going to do? We're going to be holding all the flat areas of the chassis against this metal bar with the neodymium magnets. Okay, so let me start placing my neodymium magnets here around the chassis. Got a big bar for this section, and there you go. That should hold it. Okay, so I have my chassis being held against my perfectly flat metal bar with via magnets. Okay, the next step is I'm gonna get this bar and place it on a cooking pan. Okay, I'm gonna boil enough water that will cover the chassis. I'm also gonna need to have my oven preheated to 250 degrees at that point. As soon as I pour the boiling water on top of the chassis, I'm going to slide the baking tray inside the oven, close the door, stop heating the oven, and let everything cool off by itself without trying to accelerate the process. This is it. Let's step into my kitchen and see how that is done. Alright guys, so what I have here is my metal bar. This is my baking tray here. I've lined it with some cloth just so it won't scratch the tray. My water is already boiling, and I have my oven already up to temperature. So what I'm going to do is pour that water. Turn that off. Alright. There you go. So you can see the chassis is completely submerged. Or at least I hope you guys can see. What I'm gonna do now is slide it in my oven. Give me a second here. A little bit of water spilling there. Alright. Close the door. See if I can show you guys this. So, oven was at 250. I'm gonna stop heating up the oven and let this whole thing cool off by itself without trying to accelerate the process. And when we are done, we have a completely flat chassis. See you guys soon. Well, hello there guys. It's been 6 or 7 hours after we turned the oven off. Everything is cooled down. Here's the chassis. Okay. There you go. Perfectly flat. Let's do a little. Still a little wet anyways. There's the chassis right there after our straightening process, ready to be built. That's it. We still have quite a few more steps before the car is ready for a track, so stay with me and check for video number 2.